Hey everyone. Imagine standing at the foot of a snow-clad volcano, wind whipping across silent plains, cherry blossoms drifting in the air, but everything feels dangerous. Every shadow could hide an enemy, and you alone carry the weight of vengeance. That's the world of Ghost of Yotei. And after dozens of hours swinging blades, sneaking through forests, and occasionally face-planting into a frozen river, hey, it happens, I'm here to tell you whether this game lives up to the hype, and whether you should even bother. Over the next 2 hours, I'm going deep. We'll talk mechanics, story, no spoilers, promise. Visuals, sound, performance, controls, replay value, innovation, comparisons, bugs, monetization, community, and of course, whether you will feel immersed in this world or just frustrated. So buckle up, sharpen your katana or your patience, and let's go hunting across EZO. Before I dive into pros and cons, let me start with the basics. Ghost of Yotei is scheduled for release on October 2, 2025, exclusively for PlayStation 5. At launch, there is no confirmed PC or Xbox version, though based on Sony's recent patterns, a PC port in the months or years after launch is a possibility. The game is a standalone experience set roughly 300 years after Ghost of Tsushima, so you don't need to have played Tsushima to jump in. I'll begin with gameplay mechanics because that's the beating heart of any action title. In Yotei, you play in a third-person view, blending sword combat, stealth, exploration, and traversal tools similar in broad strokes to Tsushima, but with more variety. Early on, I was nervous it would feel too derivative, but after spending dozens of hours, I can say it leans familiar and ambitious. You have a varied weapon set: traditional katana, including dual-wield, odachi, yari, kusarigama, chain sickle, and even ranged tools like tanigashima, matchlock gun, plus a grappling tool, kaginawa, to swing or pull yourself towards terrain. The presence of multiple weapon styles means you can approach a fight three ways: all-in combat, stealth and assassination, or hybrid. Early in my playthrough, I tried leaning stealth every time because I like feeling like a ghost, but midway I switched to more aggressive, flashy duels, and the game accommodated both. One of the more satisfying mechanical changes is the disarm or weapon stealing potential. I found a few tense moments where I broke an enemy's guard and knocked the weapon aside, then had to scramble to recover or finish them. That mechanic adds tension to otherwise formulaic open-world sword duels. The open world is large and varied: plains, snowy forests, icy peaks, swamps, and traversal uses horses, walking, and the grappling hook in vertical terrain. The developers emphasize that they don't want to rush you or force you along a tight path. Instead, you'll get cues, wind direction, visual prompts, but much of the choice is yours. In my playthrough, I often ignored the main objective marker and went off chasing a strange glint on the horizon or a forest path. Sometimes it turned into a hidden shrine, sometimes an ambush. That kind of emergent play is one of its strengths. But it's not flawless. The AI sometimes feels a bit slow to react, especially late game when I upgraded a bunch of skills. I'd enter a camp stealthily, but the guards would take too long to spot me, giving me weirdly generous windowing. Reviewers already point this out: the more you upgrade, the more you risk breaking tension. Also, side missions occasionally feel padded or repetitive. Go here, kill X, return, with minimal variation, but I'll return to that in the replay and side content section. So that's mechanics. Now the story, and I'll keep it spoiler safe. You play as Atsu, a wandering mercenary whose family was slaughtered years ago by a group called the Yotei Six. She takes on a persona of an avenging Onryu, a vengeful spirit, so that rural folks whisper of her as a ghostly legend. The timeline is 1603, in the region of Ezo, which historically in that period was outside the full control of the Japanese shogunate, a frontier land. Her mission is to hunt down the Yotei Six, leaders like Lord Saito and others tied to Oni, Snake, Kitsune, Spider, and Dragon who were involved in her tragedy. The story is structured so that you can choose in which order to challenge each target, giving the main arc a branching feel. There is a linear underpinning. The devs talk about wanting you to feel the emotional weight of the journey, not be totally free and lost. In my playthrough, I felt the narrative's emotional beats mostly hit. There were moments when I felt grief, rage, tension, doubt, though pacing sometimes lags in the middle when you wander. Side quests occasionally felt disconnected from the emotional core, which is a mild disappointment. You don't always feel stakes in optional missions. The voice acting seems strong based on preview footage, full reviews suggest it holds up, and dialogue in key scenes carries weight. Without spoiling anything, I can say the ending arc lands well, though I encountered a few pacing lulls just before that final push. Next up, graphics and art style. Oh boy, this is where Yotei shines. Since this is a game built natively for PS5, the visual fidelity is a major selling point. The art direction leans toward Japanese woodblock and ink inspirations, but filtered through realism. Snowy pines, misty lakes, frozen waterfalls, crimson maple leaves, auroras in the night sky, all of it feels painterly. Several reviewers praise it as one of the best-looking PS5 exclusives this year. During my exploratory sessions, I'd sometimes stop just to gawk at a sunrise over a field or snow swirling through a grove. Lighting is excellent. Dynamic day and night cycles, snowstorms that dim the horizon, auroral dances that color the skies. The subtle ambient detail, insects, drifting leaves, blowing grass, help ground you. In some scenes, though, the line between beauty and visual noise blurs. In dense foliage or forest floors, I occasionally felt unsure whether a rock or bush was a solid object or part of the background. That's more a technical limitation than poor design. Also, the level of detail pop is well handled, though on rare occasions I saw distant trees pop in or textures sharpen abruptly. But mostly, it's immersive and gorgeous. On to music and sound design. The audio work is atmospheric, often quietly powerful. The soundtrack is said to include contributions from the composer Toma Otoa. One very enticing mode is the Watanabe mode, which plays lo-fi beats over exploration, a chill mode for when you're riding or traversing rather than in combat. Also, devs have announced presentation modes inspired by Takashi Miike and Shinichiro Watanabe, in addition to the returning Kurosawa mode, each with visual and audio flavor. In my test sessions, exploring under Watanabe mode felt like drifting through a dream. The ambient bleeps and gently looping tunes kept me moving, not pausing, which is good. In combat, musical crescendos and percussion hit at the right times, sound effects of blades clashing, wind gusts, falling snow, beasts lurching, they're solid and well mixed. I didn't hear glaring audio glitches in my run, though some later footage suggests occasional voice desynchronization in complex cutscenes, something to watch. Overall, sound supports immersion strongly.